Good morning, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County's virtual meeting. PSG of Mercer County is a group that is here for you every Friday. We used to meet in person at the Princeton Public Library, but we're happy to keep our meetings virtual for as long as we need to, and so welcome. And we're here for anybody that is in any kind of career transition, anyone who is looking for new work. We do not find you jobs, but we help give you the information and the resources to help make you more efficient and more effective in your own job search. In addition to being Aloha Friday, as it is every Friday, today, and we have good weather for it, is National Creamsicle Day. So that sounds like fun, celebrating that creamy citrus dessert on a stick. So if you're so inclined and you want to cool off a little later in the day, maybe you can find yourself a creamsicle and enjoy that as well. I guess they're typically known to be an orange, but lots of citrus and fruit flavors are now available. And so National Creamsicle Day. Also, PSG of Mercer County, besides being here each week for you, we do have a tremendous amount of resources that are available to you online. We do have our LinkedIn group. Our LinkedIn group is a private group, which means it's just for us. And if you are not yet in our LinkedIn group, just go into LinkedIn and search for groups called PSG of Mercer County. And then what you can do is press the join button. What you'll find is we will immediately accept you into pending status. It's not automatic membership, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at our group attendance, whether it was for this meeting or our historical attendance, to just make sure that if you're making a request to join the group, you've been to our group at least once, whether in person or virtually. We're trying to keep out the list collectors, the name collectors, the salespeople that are only in it for themselves. We don't mind at all salespeople that are job search, but people that are right now selling to a group of people. We're just trying to keep that from us. Our group now has exactly 1,600 members. So we're 1,600 members strong. These are all people that have been through job search in our program, members of our program. So there's a good chance when you need to reach out to someone, when you need to try and get ahead of the other 249 people who've applied for that job through the applicant tracking system and connect to somebody who's connected to you, if they're connected through our LinkedIn group, there's a good chance they will be happy to speak with you because they understand job search. And certainly feel free to share articles, job leads, anything else that may be of interest. Your activity in our group and in LinkedIn in general is always good for your own LinkedIn profile. And also, you can always email anyone in our group through LinkedIn who's not yet one of your first degree connections. So it's really a benefit to join a LinkedIn group. In addition, we also have a website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org. We have over 120 pages of content. And this week we added a few more e-learning websites. So if you look at our professional development menu item, the menu item in the tab on top, click on professional development, you'll see a link for e-learning. We now have links to 42 e-learning websites. So if you wanted to know where you can find a bunch of e-learning websites, this is probably the most robust collection that there is on the internet. It's got to be among the most robust, certainly. And some of them are free, which is really very nice. We just added a program from Yale University, offers some free classes. A lot of us knew that MIT did. Yale does as well. That's on there. And some of them do require a membership or a subscription. That's up to you if you wish to do that. And some of them, you don't need a membership. You could just pay for the class or classes of interest. But a lot of them are free as well. So at least there's a resource to go find them. You can find the program or the website that makes the most sense for you right from us. We do like to celebrate landings, and unfortunately when we're not together, we can't really celebrate landings together and with cookies or donut holes or anything like that. But if you have some really good news in your job search, like a landing or some good progress, put that in chat, share it with us. We'll be happy to give you virtual applause, even though we can't have real applause. And maybe we'll each individually celebrate with a creamsicle a little bit later. So just want to go over a couple of the ground rules. I'm going to be turning over the meeting to our presenter, Ellen, And she actually now has access to the screen, so she is our presenter online. Later, she'll return control back to me so we can wrap up. Remember, please keep your audio or your microphone on mute so that we don't hear any accidental background noise, or if you get a phone call, or if you have to type an email, no worries that you need to take those breaks. We just don't want to affect the experience for the rest of us. As for your video camera, it's up to you to keep it on or keep it off. We don't mind either way. Certainly in a virtual meeting, since we can't otherwise see each other, you're welcome to keep your camera on so we can see smiling faces. This is a safe place, so if you still have pillow hair, no worries at all. You can certainly not worry about keeping your microphone or your speaker, your speaker on, your video on. Your speakers and your microphone you want off. Questions and interactive communication will be with chat. So remember, it's the little icon that looks like a cartoon character bubble. If you're watching or reading a comic book, you'd see a little bubble with words in it. That's the icon on your screen, and that's where you can chat. And so we just ask it as much as possible, chat to everyone unless you have a very private conversation with someone. At the end of the program, I will be downloading the chat and then making it available online on our website. On our website, we do have a link called Meeting Presentation Documents. It's in the right sidebar of every page, and about halfway down is a link called Meeting Presentation Documents. And when you click on that, you'll go to a new web page. And what we'll be putting there, Ellen has provided some downloads and other materials that we are putting there. I don't believe we're actually putting this slide deck online. It's not something we're able to do, but the shareable materials we are. The chat will be there, a link to our presentation, the video will be there as well, so lots of information, as well as all of our programs from this year and almost all of our programs since 2014 are all available. If you want to go back and look at prior programs, they're all available in our meeting presentation documents. Okay, so we are now ready. And so I'm just very pleased to welcome this morning Ellen Wagner. Ellen trained as a hotel manager, studied business administration with her degree in 2007, and economics and psychology. She has her MBA that will be due in next year, 2021. And it was at the University of Applied Sciences, West Coast Heide in Germany. In her diploma thesis, she wrote about the effects of demographic change on human resource management in the hotel industry. As part of her freelance lecture activities, she wrote the books Sustainable Corporate Management, Sustainable Human Resources Management, and Seniors in Tourism. She has worked in Germany, England, Spain, Tunisia, Greece, and now the United States. In 2019, she moved with her family to Princeton and founded her company, Cross Cultural Bridges, where she offers expat and diversity coaching, as well as empowerment workshops and intercultural training. So PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome Coach Ellen Wagner.
Thank you so much for this nice introduction, and good morning to everyone. I'm so pleased that you're here. Did you have already a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? I hope so, because today it's not going to be me presenting all the time. I'm just going to sit back. I'm the coach, right? So you do the work. And this is how it's going to be today. It's going to be a very, and I hope, interactive workshop that you can really, if you want, work with me today. And afterwards, hopefully feel a little bit better if you have a challenge that you're facing right now. So before I talk about who I am, and David said already a few words about me, I'm going to show you what you're going to expect today. So we're right in the intro already, and I'm going to tell you what coaching is all about. So I'm not a consultant, but I'm helping you to find your own strengths and your own strategies, because you heard when I graduated, I'm kind of young. I have job experience, of course, but every one of you is very individual. So you need individual solutions for your challenges, and that's what we're going to work on today. yeah, you can define your challenge if you think of one, specific one today, and you will have time. So if you have a pen and a paper, it would be great. So you can write down your notes and really work with us today. And I'm going to talk about the Iceberg model. I don't know, maybe some of you heard about that. And then we're going to have the next exercise. We're going to learn about our inner critics. More to that later. And then we're going to do an exercise for our inner voices. And then we hopefully are able to manage these inner voices if not all of them are good team players. And in the end, it depends on how much time we have. We go through another exercise called consciousness mirror, and then we're going to be done. So in case you have any questions, just feel free to type in the chat box. I try to regularly take a look at that. Or maybe, David, you can give me a sign and I just stop for a minute and then, oh, perfect, that works. Super. And then I'm going to pause. So who am I? I call myself Mrs. Diversity because I've been, working in tourism for the past 11 years as a hotel contractor. That was my main job. So I was traveling the world a lot. So I have, let's say, a good insight in different cultures. I like to communicate with people. And I'm also a Black person growing up in a city, or let's say village in Germany, where I was the only Black person. I was adopted by white parents. So I have some, let's say, perspectives and views that maybe people share that feel sometimes different around other people. So that's why I'm a coach. I'm doing expat and diversity coaching. So the expats are new in a new culture. They need to adapt. They might need to learn a new language. They might need to find a new job. And I try to help these people step by step to feel confident, because I think if you feel confident and you can also manage your inner voices, you have full sight and can go forward and achieve whatever you want to achieve. And the other part, the diversity coaching, is for marginalized groups. So for persons of color like me, I'm also living together with my wife. So I'm also serving the LGBTQI community, and I'm also working for the New Jersey LGBT Chamber here as a volunteer. I told you I travel a lot. I like that. I travel about 30 countries. And yeah, my education, very interesting. Let's get right to our topic today. So before we talk about the inner voices, I wanted to have a quick definition about what coaching is. And like I said before, it's not about consulting. You come to me and say you have problem A, B, Z. And then I say, okay, let me check from my experiences. I would recommend you to do that and that. That's not what I do. I really sit back, I listen closely, and then I try to hear what the way or the solution is that you need, so it fits to you, because there is no one size fits all. So the certification I have is about systemic coaching. I don't even know if you have that in the United States, this kind of a word for that. It's like a mobile for babies. So if you touch one part, the whole mobile is moving, and you can understand your life living in a system. You have the system within yourself, and that's always good to start within yourself, no matter what it is. And then you have the system between you and your spouse and your partner. And then there's a bigger system, that's the family system. There might be parents or children, and the system at your work is a different system. And then you can think about all other systems that you're surrounded in your life. And by really looking closely at each of these systems, if there's somewhere an unbalance, you can work on trying to solve this. And we are going to work with your inner system today. Okay? So here we go. I told you you have to work. So grab yourself a pen and a paper and write down your biggest challenge this time. And you could finish the sentence, I wish I would be able to. And if you have more than one, you can write down 5 or more challenges. And yeah, I just give you a minute to do that. And of course, if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. You can just lean back and relax or meditate or drink a coffee. So I want to try if everybody found the chat. Would you just press a plus if you have wrote down something so I can see that everybody's still there, not falling asleep, being able to participate? And I see the first answer. That's awesome. Okay, a minus, a plus. Okay, I have short sight. It's a plus. Okay, perfect. And for all the others who need more time, you can just try this exercise later on, okay? So you might have written down something, I don't know what your challenge is right now. And maybe you know that if you want to, let's say something really crazy, lose weight, nobody wants to do that, I know. You would not say, I wish I would be lighter or something, or lose weight. You wouldn't think about something negative, but you rather think about something positive. If you tell yourself, I don't want to eat chocolate or ice cream, what do you think is going to happen? You focus on ice cream and all these nice flavors and not on what you want to achieve. So it's easier for us to focus on something positive that we can look forward to and not look back to and be sad, and rather say something like, I want to eat more fruit or vegetables or something like that. So we're going to try to reframe our challenges. So think about your challenge, and if it sounds a little bit negative, try to reframe it and look out for something positive if that's the case. And that's not so easy sometimes because we try to avoid stuff and we focus on what we want to avoid. But instead, it's easier to really look forward to something. And for all of you who have children, you might know that if the little child is walking around with a full plate, and we tend to say, oh, don't step over your feet, or don't let this plate fall. And it's much easier to say, hold your plate, because the brain of the child will focus on this stumbling over the feet or letting this plate fall. And that requires a lot of training to talk differently and to have this positive outlook, but it helps us so much in achieving our goals. It's going to be a little easier, and you can try this. So if you have reframed your challenge, I'm going to move on, and if you need more time, you can just keep working on that. And there might be people who have heard about the iceberg. This is like a classic tool that people use in communication and in different contexts. The iceberg that we see here reveals, let's say, 20% of the top, and the rest, the 80%, is invisible. And you might know where I want to go now. So if we see other people, we only see the 20%, the tip of the iceberg. We see what people do, we can hear the words, and we can see the body language. And everything below is invisible. And we can also say that it's unconscious. So when we act, we don't have constantly our thoughts in our head, or our emotions, or our objectives or experiences. That would take up too much energy. Therefore, we just do the things we do. And if we are able to look a little bit closer to what's going on in our unconscious brain, so to say, or thoughts, then we might be able to extract that and work with that. Yeah, why am I telling you this? And you might have experienced that in your work or workplace. When you do a lot, but you also talk a lot about your success, then it's more possible for others to hear what you're good at. And if you used to have a boss, you probably said something like, I want a promotion, I want to go there, and then your boss can react on that. Or if you used to have employees or a team, it's much more easier for you if they communicate what they are good at and what they are doing, instead of they're just sitting in their little office and working super hard the whole day and thinking, I hope one day someone will see how good I am at that. Have you ever experienced that? And that takes time, right? When we are fresh in a new job, we need to figure out things, and we might not really take so much action, or we might not talk so much about that, but we should be conscious or aware of that actions, word, and body language have an impact on what other people see. The problem is if we have negative thoughts or negative emotions or no objectives or certain experiences or intentions, that can influence what other people see. And I remember my very first job coming off from university, and I had the feeling there was kind of an inner voice saying, this is not the right job for you, Ellen. And I was talking to my father, and he said, yeah, you're just fresh from university. You should go through that. You cannot change the world and everything. So I listened to him, but every day I went to work, I had a very bad feeling in my stomach. So I quit. And in the end, I felt during this time that, I really lost my ego. I wasn't unsure if I'm going to make the right choice in my next job. I was feeling insecure, and people could see that. They could see that in my body language. They could see that in the way I was talking, because I was talking and I wasn't speaking up. So there were many things affecting what people could see. And of course, if you're going into a job interview, if you meet people in a network, or you want to convince others, that is something that can hold you back and is really an obstacle that you have to overcome. So, and maybe you have heard about that as well, about positive affirmations, and that they do work. In order to change that, and in order to take other actions and talk differently, I'm going to ask the group Do you know any slogans, like marketing slogans that you like a lot or that you don't like, but that sticks to your brain from any brand, from any shop that you know, any marketing slogan you can think of, and you can type in that in the chat box. I'm curious what you have in mind. I have a lot of slogans from Germany. I just moved here last year, so maybe you can help me out and tell me some of the American slogans that companies use here, or even organization, nonprofit or for-profit. Anyone? What do I see here? Just do it. Yeah, and that's such a powerful slogan. And I personally love this slogan. And what it tells me, if I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper and I'm going to put it up and I'm going to look at that paper every day, is that one day I'm going to believe it. It does something with me, and not maybe, so obvious, but in my subconscious. And that is the power of thoughts. So I want you to write down a slogan for yourself, maybe which is connected with your challenge, but something positive, something like I am strong, smart, and maybe something else. And you can write down your own slogan. You can put it on a bigger paper and hang it somewhere where maybe only you can see it, or you can take a small paper and fold it and maybe put it in your purse, in your wallet, and you can carry it around every day and look at it. And it's a little bit like this smile that you put on your face, even if you don't want to smile and you don't feel like it. And in the beginning, it might not look so natural. But if you do that again and again and again, it can have an impact on your body. And we're going to talk about embodiment a little later on. So far, any questions? I'm going to look at the chat. Does Ellen believe in vision boards? Of course I do. I believe in anything that can support me in reaching my goals. And I'm just going to take a look. I prepared a little something. Okay, I think you cannot see it properly, but this is my vision board for 2020. And I did that with the whole family, my wife, my daughter, and we wrote down what we want to achieve in the year, and we do that every year. So you can either put that on paper, and then you have it here, and you can always take a look at that and also check, did I achieve that? No, I haven't. Okay, what do I need to achieve that? And you can also go on Pinterest, which is much more easy, then you don't have to draw. And you can just do your own board, and pin everything on there that you want. And for me, it's essential to have a goal, let's say for my business, or even if it's private, no matter what it is. Because if I have a goal and I know what I want to do, I'm able to see the right doors. Do you know what I mean? If you're standing at an intersection and you need to look for the way, or you need to go somewhere and you don't know where to go, how are you supposed to find the right way? It's not bad to not know at sometimes or some point, because then you just start walking in this direction and eventually you're gonna arrive where you want to arrive. But if you have your goal or your vision or your mission on a paper, it's much easier to talk about it with the right people, or to ask the right questions and type them in a chat like here. And it's much more clear for yourself. And I don't know, when I, for instance, and that's might be a sad story, and it works the other way around as well, I had 3 miscarriages in my life. So at that time, what did I see? Pregnant women everywhere. And when I broke up in the past with someone, what did I see? Happy couples everywhere. What did I see? When I lost my job, I see people working and nobody on the street. It's like, it's kind of the perception, right? And you can also shift your mindset and focus on something positive, but that means work, right? Because sometimes complaining might be the more easier way because you don't have to find a solution. But I strongly believe in vision board, and thank you for that question. And it can be super simple. It can be just this little paper. And in my coaching sessions, I work a lot with little papers. And then I'm going to just sketch something. And I'm not super in drawing, but everybody understand what this is. This is like somebody being strong. Yeah, and then maybe I put some muscle here. And no matter what it is that you want to achieve, you can create yourself these little reminders and put them wherever you can find them and be reminded of that. Power posing, exactly. Yeah, I do that a lot. I did that even before this presentation, actually. So let's move on, okay? So what you're probably here for today is the inner voices, or are the inner voices. And I don't know if you heard about the inner critic. In Germany, there's a psychologist. His name is Schulz von Thun. You don't have to remember this name. But this guy, he talks a lot and writes a lot about the inner team. And just like you see here in this presentation, this team in this bubble are 3 people, and all of them have a different voice or something different to say. And if you dig deep, and we would have like a one-on-one coaching, and we would try to extract these voices, it might be that you have 10 of them within yourself that you're not really conscious about. But today, we just want to focus on 2 voices. So therefore, we're going to do the next exercise. Let me see. I keep my promise. This is going to be active. The question is, what do your inner voices say? And I think it's called, what does your inner voice say? I'm so sorry, I'm German, not a native speaker. So maybe you can even think about your challenge that you note down before, and think about when you want to solve this, or when you are in a certain situation. What do your inner voices tell you in this moment? And let's think about the inner critic, this voice that is saying, well, I don't know. I don't think you should do that. And if you want, share that in the chat, like 1 sentence of your inner voice. And then we can work with that, if you want. And I know someone's out there who wants to share that. Okay, I can maybe share something that it's not good enough. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. You're thinking of impossible things. Am I good enough to get what I want? Think twice. Oh, I don't have that skill they are looking for yet. And these are, yeah, typical voices. I even hear these voices saying the exact same thing. And let's go and jump into the exercise. So you thought already about your challenge, and you already thought about the voice that is the loudest and is standing in your way. And the voice is saying all these things you just typed in this chat box or you just wrote down. And the next step, if this voice would be a persona, and now it's getting a little, let's say, crazy, but go with me and you're going to see it's going to work. So it can be fictive or real. What would this voice look like? So let me share a little voice that I used to have in my head. It was a voice when I was very busy in the morning, taking care of the child to get to school. And I was busy and had maybe appointments later. There was a little voice coming up saying, oh, you have to tidy up this, put that in the laundry bag, and you can do the dishes here, and all these sorts of things. But I didn't have time to do that. But still, this voice was so loud so that I did it. And then I thought about, what is this voice looking like? And it was such a small little fictive thing, white, colorful spots, very, very tiny. And it was standing on the ground, tipping with a toe, looking at me like this, poking me, saying, Ellen, Ellen, look here, look there. And I was so distracted by this voice. And I was, yeah, let's see what you wrote down. Let's wait a second, what I found out about this voice. So, and that might be a difficult one to think about a persona, because before you might only thought about this person or this thing as a voice. But just imagine, maybe you can close your eyes and think for a minute, what would this voice look like if it would be a person or a fictive character? And then please write down, what would it wear? Would it wear a suit? What kind of hair? Maybe a hat? Any other special characteristics? You can write down the size. Bigger than you, smaller than you. And Tatiana, thank you for sharing. It looks like a cloud, not a persona. Okay. So this cloud, Greenwich cloud. Okay. I just wanted to know if it's like a bright cloud, nice and fluffy that you can eat like cotton candy, or if it's like a dark and huge and dangerous cloud. Okay. Have everyone wrote down something? And again, after the presentation, you can also work through this exercise, because the handout that David was talking about has all the information in there. So you can repeat this exercise, or might be doing that the next time when you hear a different voice, and maybe you can do that with a friend to go through together. So the next step, okay? Would you be able to find a name for that? So Tatiana, if you have this Greenwich cloud, would that be already the name, or could you also come up with a name for that persona? You can even invent a name. Sometimes I have clients who have find this persona, and it's kind of looks a lot like the mother or grandmother. So you can also use names from people that you know. And if you want to share, always feel free to use the chat so others can be inspired. because we have to do a little creative work here. So if you've done that, the next step would be, what would they say to you when you think about your challenge, and where would they stand? And before I read already a few sentences, what they were saying, right? And if you have something like paper or maybe a Sharpie or something, and I'm going to stand up now just to demonstrate what I mean. And I hope you can see me. You don't need my hat. So this voice that I heard was right in front of me on the ground, confronting me, looking at me. So I would take one piece of paper and put it down where I'm standing, and you can write down your name. And I would take another paper and put it down there where this voice is talking to you. If you don't want to stand up, that's perfectly fine. You can also just do that on your desk with your pen or whatever. But it helps you kind of to locate where this voice is talking to you. I have other voices who are very mean, who are standing behind me, and the persona is much bigger than me, which is intimidating. And it has a huge impact on me. So this little persona getting on my nerve because I needed to tidy up, that was easy. I could easily imaginary kicked him away, what I didn't do. But he was small and I could handle this voice. But what if this voice is huge and maybe dangerous and intimidating and standing behind of you? And maybe this voice is even holding you from behind or touching you on your shoulder or holding your arm. So take a moment and think about what this voice is saying to you and where this voice would be located if it pops up and tells you or said this sentence to you. And if you imagine that, can you describe for yourself how that makes you feel? For instance, this huge voice that was behind me and wanted to stop me, it made me feel small and insecure and not being able to make my own decisions. So it may had visible impact on me. Think about how this voice makes you feel, and maybe you can write that down. And then you can also write down, and first maybe think about that. Why is this voice saying that to you? Do you have any idea why this persona, I don't know the name, is saying that to you? Why should anyone be saying that to you? So if I think about this little voice telling me, tidy up your place, your apartment, I thought this voice resembles a lot the voice of my mother. She always wanted the place that I'm living to be tidied up, because in case the neighbor would come around, what should the neighbors think? So I kind of figured out that she only wanted to protect me from, let's say, a bad reputation. And then it was a little bit easier for me to understand why this little persona was insisting all the time. So think about why this voice is saying something to you, like you said before. Why should voice tell you that you don't have the skill that they are looking for? Would there be any benefit from that? And then think again, how does that make you feel when you know why this voice is telling you this? The moment that I knew that this voice just wants to protect me, and that happens in many cases, and I knew where this voice was coming from, a different generation, a different way of thinking, different affirmations. It made me easier to understand why this voice is so angry with me. And I read the comment. Avoiding pain of rejection. Yes, I just want to protect you so nothing bad or you don't get hurt. Also thought some of it may be for protection, whether warranted or not. Exactly. And in this moment, this voice appears a little bit more human, maybe, or a little bit more friendly, kind of having good intention, but not all good intentions are really good, right? And then think about, what would you like to reply now that you know where this voice is coming from? And maybe, like again, I was standing here and this voice is there. So imagine, how would you talk to this voice? Would you sit down to talk to that voice, to look the voice eye to eye? Or if the voice is standing behind you, would you turn around? Would you scream? What would you tell your voice now that you know what the intention is? Yeah, and Tatiana says the voice wants you to be successful. So that's a good thing, right? So in this way, or in this at this time, you could tell the voice, oh, thank you. I think I know what your intention is. You just want me to be successful. But trust me on that. I know myself and I worked hard. I can do that. What would you reply to that voice? And if you think about like an inner dialogue with this voice, then maybe we can go a step further. And when you just said that to the voice, like, I know, thank you for being here. You just want me to be successful. Okay, I know. But I really need to do this on my own. I really need to try. If I don't try, I'm going to regret it later on. If you say something like that to your voice, can you think about why it is so hard to tell this voice? And that might have different reasons. Hug and kiss, it will be fine. I'm strong. Oh, that's perfect. Then this voice is probably going to be even happy and work with you in the future. Yeah, sometimes it's just hard for us to stand up for ourselves, because these kind of affirmations or like sentences we've might been hearing a lifelong from parents, from wherever, are so internalized that we don't know a way to get out of it. And the good thing about it, we can train that. Yeah, we have different opportunities. We can work with that. We can work with our slogan, and we can internalize new and positive affirmations. And that would be the first step. So in order to do so and find these positive affirmations, we bring in a second voice, okay? Think about another voice that might come up. And David had this little picture in the email for the announcement of this presentation with a little devil and with a little angel. And you know that, right? You're in the supermarket, you want to buy something, and the devil says, oh, don't you do this. And the angel says, Ah, come on. You worked so hard this week. No, you can. It's a lot of fat in it. Ah, come on. Fat is fun sometimes. And then this is like, oh gosh, how to, and then in the end, you just leave it. So think about this angel. Think about this biggest cheerleader that you have that can support you. What does this voice look like? And we do the same like we did before. What does it look like? What would it wear? And if you can think about a name, what name would you give that cheerleader or that person that supports you? So Giacomo writes, the first voice is trying to protect us from getting hurt, whether it be the pain of rejection or other painful act, yes. And the second voice can be the voice of a coach or a role model, exactly. Knight in shiny armor. Okay, that is creative. And I'm seeing this cloud now, and I'm seeing this knight. It's really a powerful image. And I'm a very visual person, so I like to work with images. And it might help you too to have this imagination in front of your eyes. So if you think about your, let's say, coach or your role model, for me, this strong voice that I have within myself is an activist. So what would they actually say to you in this specific situation where you're facing, let's say, your challenge, and the first voice is trying to hold you down? What does your support voice tell you? My cheerleader was always my dad, my supporter. That's beautiful. What would your dad tell you in this situation when somebody tries to hold you down or tell you something very negative so that you get insecure? And maybe you want to share that in the chat box, what one sentence would be. You can do it. Nice. I have a positive affirmation, not here because it's so loud, like a bracelet from Maya Angelou, and it says, "You alone are enough." So I'm wearing my positive affirmations with me normally. So think about what this cheerleader would say in this situation. And the next step would be, how does that make you feel? And when my activist is there, and I'm going to share this with you, it's Marsha P. Johnson. She's like a transgender Black activist, and she started the Stonewall riots in New York, right? And for me, she's fearless. She's just doing it. And she always comes up in difficult situations, and she stands there with her fists and says, "You can do it, Ellen, fight for your rights." And that encourages me so much that I feel like, okay, I can do it. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I'm just going to do it. So think about your cheerleader and think about also where this cheerleader stands. It's right next to you, and sometimes I hear that they're going to hold you, or they hold your hand, or they stand behind you and take their hand on your shoulder. Where is your cheerleader? And what will you now actually reply to this inner critic that you described before, with all this empowerment and all this confidence now, because you know you're not alone? Wonder Woman. Oh, that's nice. I love Marvel. So I might have also have Black Panther in the room if it's going to be really, really hard. And you can have a team of cheerleader. I just wanted to make it simple to have one person, but of course you can have a whole entourage coming in the room, right? Imaginary, because in your imagination there's a lot of space. So what would you now reply to your inner voice? And again, please feel free to share that in the chat box. If somebody says, you're not good enough, you don't have enough skills, what can you tell your inner critic? Shut up. I am good enough. Oh, I love that. Dad, who has passed, okay, I'm sorry, would have told me to say, ignore the critic, move on, they aren't worth it. Awesome. And you can do it. You did it before. It's like a friendly reminder. That is amazing. Wow, you have some cheerleaders. Maybe I can just rent them from time to time when I feel low. I love that. So when you hear this, especially this shut up, that's powerful, right? And it's very short and people normally understand. I don't know if they react on that, but it's very nice. And I read here, I'm smart and I learn quickly. That's super. Can you think about a gesture that supports this? And I'm a supporter of nonviolent, so I don't kick people and I don't punch them, even if I feel like it. And of course, in your imagination, you are allowed to do that, but I don't encourage you to do that right now. So think about a gesture that would help you. And for this little guy who was standing down there telling me to tidy up, I do something like, okay, bye. You can go to the living room and play PlayStation now. Because that voice was kind of young, I don't know, and I thought it might like PlayStation games. And if there's a bigger voice here and you want to be respectful, you can say thank you for noticing, but I got that. You can also think about like, okay, let go, don't touch me, or take a little more distance, or you can go now, whatever it is. And if you have a little gesture, you can make it a micro gesture, like very, very small, maybe like this, or like stop, something like super, super small, so that when you're, let's say, in an interview and something's triggering you, this voice, or you're in an important situation, people will not start to think that you're crazy because you're starting to do all these kind of things, but you can do this and support this, what you think, with a little gesture. That's called embodiment. And then my question would be, how do you feel now that you kind of handled your own voice? And I'd love to hear your feedback on that. So a tiger doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. Oh, wow. That's a nice quote. It will be fine. The issues you are thinking about will not be a factor. A gesture, a virtual two-fisted, NJ, peace sign. Okay. And smile. Yeah, smiling can be very powerful. And it can also signalize kind of forgiveness, right? Or acceptance. I know you didn't have bad intention, but now you really have to stop because I have to move on and I want to do it my way. Wave the index finger side to side. Nice. So let us talk about embodiment. And I'm coming back to a statement that David did before with the power posing. And I heard something like it's not scientifically waterproof proofed or something like that, but I like it anyway. So if you have like a job interview or something important, and I hope you can see me, go to the restrooms somewhere where people might not see you and stand there like this. Put your chest up and power pose. And maybe you can also say your positive affirmations like, I'm good, I'm smart, I look good, I can do this, I'm good at that. And if you do that for 2 minutes, it has an effect of your inside. And that's very strong. It's just like a slogan, but for your body. And yeah, I think you can also do stuff like yoga or meditation, where you can empower your body for that cause. So let's move on with the last exercise for today. And I know you've been working hard, but we're going to go through this quite quick. And this is going to help you how to deal with situations in your life where you're not really aware of the inner voices that you hear, but they are there. And to be more conscious about what is happening exactly in this moment can help you to deal with situations easier or more easy. So I call this conscious mirror because it's kind of mirroring what you have inside of yourself. But let's get into this exercise and see where we're going to land. And again, you have to write down something. Think about, and you can have 1 or 2 or 3, as many as you want, 5 characteristics, values, or traits of a person that triggers you. So think about a person when this person enters the room, you roll your eyes and you think, oh no. And sometimes you might not even be able to define why, but there are people in our life who have this impact on us. Think about that, and it does not have to be only one person, but it can be a whole group of people. So think about the colleague that you once used to have that you didn't like. Think about an employee, a boss, a neighbor, a family member, and think about certain traits of this person. So I don't like people who are super arrogant. I don't like people who lie. So think about and write down a list of characteristics that you don't like, and feel free again to share this in the chat so we can work with something. And like I said, it can be more than 1 or 5. Or if nobody triggers you, congratulations. You're a very happy person with a lot of inner peace. What is it that people have that trigger you? I, for instance, don't like it if people eat and they eat too loud and do this. I mean, these are little things, but what is it that you don't like that people have or do, like characteristics? Doesn't make eye contact with you when enters the room, doesn't acknowledge everyone equally in the room, okay? When they're so full of themselves. You mean like this? Yeah, I'm good, I'm great, I'm powerful. Or if, I don't like it when people take in too much space, when you're, let's say, in a subway, in an airplane, anywhere, or on a bench, and somebody's coming and sitting like this, and you don't have any space left. What else? Rude, exactly. Those lacking empathy, cruel, liars. I worked with a guy who actually used physical pat to physically pat himself on the back. No way. Okay, yeah, that is strange. So think about these characteristics, and I'm going to just write down like rude, cruel, and lying. Okay, just as an example, so we can go to the next step. The next step would be, what would be the complete opposite of what you just wrote down? So if I think about somebody who's rude, what is the complete opposite of that? Polite? Help me out. Smiles, okay. Respectful, okay. respectful. Good listener. Okay. If you think about the complete opposite of cruel, of being cruel. Trustworthy. Okay. Anything else? Gracious. And the thing is, with this exercise, for everyone, it's a different opposite. It's a different thing that you have in mind when you think about that. So it's great that you share different answers. And if somebody's lying or a liar, what is the complete opposite of a liar? Attentive to everybody around. Okay. Honest, maybe. Trustworthy, maybe in this case as well. Genuine, I like that. So let's take a look at step 3, and then there's only one last step, step 4. So if you think of the things that we just found out in step 2, of an exaggeration of these traits, and before I ask you, do you realize that the complete opposite, this is you? All the characteristics we wrote down in step 2, do they align with your personality? Because that's normally what happens. People who trigger us, they are normally the complete opposite of what we are. That's why we have so much trouble with these people. So it might be that these characteristics in step 2 are very close to what you are. And now think about an exaggeration. If you're too polite, if you're too respectful, if you're such a good listener, what happens then? I think if you're too polite to speak up, or you're too respectful to interrupt, or you're such a good listener, you only listen and you will not have words to speak up for yourself. So you might become invisible. And in that moment, you turn to be your own monster, or your own trigger, or you're going to become a trigger for other people. A doormat. That's a good one. Yeah, exactly. So in order not to become like the monster or the person that triggers us, in order not to become this person, we sometimes tend to be overreacting within our traits, and we will become a trigger for others. And also, it's not very healthy for us because that's too much. Let's look at the others. If you are too trustworthy or too gracious, what is the exaggeration of that? Or if you are too attentive, if you're too honest, if you're too genuine, you might be hurting other people because you're too direct, too honest. So what should be the solution in this way, in this case? And I wrote down, think about a homeopathic low dose of your trigger traits in connection with your personality. So think about, you sprinkle a little bit of your person that triggers you on top of yourself. And let me give you an example. I used to have a colleague and he was super lazy. And I am like a woman, like many women are. I'm so, I don't even know how you say that, but I was working so much and so hard all the time. And he was lazy. He was smoking all the time. And I'm just going to check the bus. He was smoking, having like coffee and smoking breaks. He was not following up. He didn't do like put the contracts on the right folder on the computer, and he was kind of super lazy. That's what I thought. And I really didn't like it because I was working so hard and he just gained the same respect at work like I did, but I worked so hard. So I thought about, okay, what is a tiny, tiny bit of laziness for me? And I thought about lazy can also be effective working. So you don't have to do so much. So I thought about when I write emails, I'd not try to inform people beforehand and give a lot of input, but just give a little bit of input and add a sentence like, if you have any questions, just contact me. So I was working less and I was a little bit of lazy. And maybe they were lazy because they were bored with their job. Of course, that could be. But if that is something that triggers you, you kind of spend energy being angry about that. And that is not really, well, efficient for yourself. And yeah, no matter what the reason is why people are that way, just sometimes they trigger us. And if we don't know why, it's very hard to handle. So I was sitting in a train, and there were like 4 places. And just shortly before the doors closed, somebody ran in and like sit down, poof, throw his jacket here, poof, and he took a lot of space. And then he took like a bag with M&Ms and he started to do this, cop, 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 cop. And I thought, oh no, what's going on? I just wanted to have my peace. And then I just paused for a minute and I thought, okay, think about what's going on here. Is he a monster? Is he triggering you? Okay, yes, but why? He's loud and he's taking up a lot of space. I don't like that. I'm more respectful. That's what I think. But I started to realize that, and I started to be a little bit like my monster. So I kind of took a little bit more space and I stretched my legs, got a little bit more relaxed. And in this moment, something really crazy happened. This guy, he was offering me M&Ms, like 1 crumb. And all of a sudden, the whole system changed. And like I said in the beginning, we're all living in systems, right? And if there's a system with another person and there's coming up a voice in our head, or you don't even know what's going on, pause for a second. Try to think about what is triggering you right now. And when you identify that, try to be a little bit like that. And especially for body movement, if somebody's taking up space and you're also taking up space, it's funny, but you're gonna affect this situation. Or different if you are not talking very loud, but another person is talking very loud. A way to influence or change the situation is to also talk loud. And all of a sudden, something changes in the system. But it doesn't work the other way around, that you lower your volume or your voice more. It only works the other way around. Okay. So we're through with the second, or with this exercise. And yeah, I just want to leave you with this quote. And sometimes the people that trigger us most in our life are the people who are showing us something that we are missing. And if we are able to learn a little bit from that, just a tiny bit, not to change our whole persona or our whole character, but just a tiny bit, we might be able to improve and advance in our life or in whatever we want to achieve. And you can always do this little exercise with these 4 steps. And the advanced version would be, if you reach step 4, think about very concrete actions that you can put into action, or like little strategies, just like I said. Somebody was lazy. what would be lazy for me? Not to work so hard and maybe talk more about my success. Somebody who's lying, I don't like that. What would be lying for me? And in my work context, when I was working in a team, it would have been not to always over-inform everybody, but to have the right doses of sharing information. That's not lying. That's just keeping things for myself. And that was okay for me personally. So do you have more questions? Otherwise, we would be coming to the end. I hope you're still there. And if you like, so I can advance in my future, and I hope I didn't trigger you today, you could type an A, what you like most today in this workshop, and a B, what you would have liked differently. And if you want, you can share a why, but you don't have to. And yeah, to just round that up today, I think it's helpful to know that some things that come up in our mind don't really have a bad intention. They have some kind of purpose, but we need to dig a little deeper to find out what purpose. And as soon as we know what the purpose is, we might be able to handle the situation or handle our inner voices. But it's all about getting away from the consciousness to the subconscious and dig a little deeper. Why are things happening? And yeah, I hope you like that today. And David, I don't know if this is okay or if that is possible, but we were talking about LinkedIn before, and there you can write recommendations. So if you want to write a recommendation for me, I am going to give away a free coaching session with me. And all you got to do is write a recommendation on LinkedIn or Google, and yeah, share your feedback if that was useful for you today. And then you're gonna get a or the chance to win a coaching session. And that's it for me. So we'll hand over to David and say thank you for everyone today for your great participation. It was real fun.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I don't know if you saw in the comment, I just left you virtual applause. If we were in person, I would be able to give you more real applause. But thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much. You know, one thing I was very appreciative and glad that you participated as a presenter is, you know, the feelings that we have of whether it's frustration or the negative voices, as Ellen might say, during a prolonged job search, it's normal to feel that way. So don't think that it's abnormal at all. But what I really appreciated was, you know, this program really gave us a good perspective on ways and kind of, you know, pushing them back or turning them around or keeping them at bay. So I was very glad that, you know, that's what came out of this program. At least that's what my observation was. So I think this was very relevant. And thank you so much, Ellen, for participating as a presenter.
You're welcome.
And just to let you know, we're wrapping up in just a couple of minutes, but as we've done for the past several weeks, we'll have virtual networking at the end of the meeting. We'll just keep the session open with the recording off. We'll turn the recording off in just a couple minutes. So if you want to hang around for, well, we'll see how long it goes, 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, just to chat it up and have networking, because we're not together. We're not otherwise able to do that. So we'll keep the session open for hanging around a little later. Ellen, as she mentioned, gave me a handout, or I should say gave us a handout. It's actually a consolidated version of these slides, and that is now on our website right now. On our website, psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org, On the right side is a link called Meeting Presentation Documents. That's on the right side of every page. And when you click that, a new page will open and it'll have links to all of our 2020 presentations. The one on top is Ellen's. And just for fun, since there was a little bit of comment about vision boards, I did Google vision boards and I put a picture of a vision board. And so Ellen, if you do check the website and it's really a terrible vision board, I will take it down so you're not associated with it. But one or two people did comment to me about that, so I thought I'd put a sample. Because the one you handed up was difficult for us to see on your camera. So I just thought I'd put one there.
Of course.
And it's yours, so there's no need to share that if you don't want to. So if you want me to take it down, I will. And folks, sneak and quickly look at it before I take it down. You can Google vision boards also on your own. So the slide summary or the handout is there now. There's a lot of chat, which was in this presentation. We had a lot of interaction. That will be posted in a little while in that same place. And the video, which we'll wrap up in just a minute. The video will be ready a little bit later today, just the amount of time it takes for GoToMeeting to process it, download it, and then upload it. So that's will be a little later to have the video. What's coming up over the next couple weeks? So I think I mentioned last week, August has become Coaches Month. Each week we have a different coach. So today, of course, Ellen. And next week, Eileen Sinnett will be presenting, and she's a communication expert and a public speaking coach. And she'll be talking about being present, staying present, growing presence for both live and virtual presentations. And so having a public speaking and presentation coach to really kind of help us through, especially virtual presentations that we need to participate with a lot more, maybe virtual interviews and such. I think that could be a very good program. So that'll be right here, PSG of Mercer County on August 21st. And then on August 28th, we will have Larry Finkelstein will be back. He is a coach as well, a career coach. His program is called Pivot, and it talks about changing directions in your career, the things that you need to do when you change directions in your career. And you can change directions for different reasons. One is as part of your own self-assessment. You decide that you want to go in a different direction, or just maybe the nature of your transition right now is allowing you to transition into a different direction as well. So those are what's coming up for the next 2 weeks. You can look at our psgofmercercounty.org website. We have an event calendar. It is populated certainly through October, I think the beginning of November. So we have a lot of programs already on our event calendar. Take a look at that. You don't have to join us every week, certainly, but there may be some programs you just don't want to miss. Look at our event calendar, the ones of interest, put in your event calendar. Other programs in virtually now, George Pace continues his live webinars each Sunday morning, and you can check that out on Facebook, facebook.com/keeppace. That's one word, keep pace with 2 P's, facebook.com/keeppace. Tomorrow morning, the Career Support Group will be meeting. They're the group that normally would be meeting in person in Hamilton, New Jersey. It's going to be Coach Tamara Causey Robinson, a very relevant presentation. It's called The Effect of Job Loss on Your Family. You know, the job loss isn't just about you who've lost your job, but the people in your home, whether it's a spouse or partner or even kids, that get impacted as well. So we should all be a little bit aware and how to be aware and manage the loss of job loss on your family. So that's going to be Saturday, tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning. Look for the Career Support Group Meetup group. Go on meetup.com, look for that, and you'll get the connection info for that. And you know what? I'm going to post it on our LinkedIn group a little later as well. They're also using GoToMeeting. Also, every Tuesday evening is New Jersey Job Seekers. They are the oldest continuously running job seeker support group, now meeting virtually. That link is going to be, or is already in our PSG of Mercer County LinkedIn group. So what's nice about that, tends to be a smaller group. Maybe we get 8, 10, 12 people all together, but we have an open group discussion. So it works out very nice, and we've gotten some good attendance over the past few weeks that way. Our kind of cousin organizations, PSG of Central New Jersey, they meet every Monday at 10:30 in the morning, and you can check them out at psgcnj.biz, and you can find their program there. And our other cousin organization, PSG of Morris County, will be Wednesday at 9 o'clock, psgmc.org. So go get that information. Lots of other virtual meetings that are available. You can also check out Alex Freund's thelandingexpert.com, thelandingexpert.com. That website has a networking list that Alex keeps up to date twice a year. It's a labor of love, and we're so appreciative that he does that, where you put in your zip code and how many miles you're willing to travel, and the groups pop up. And so find out from, once you see the group, see if they're meeting virtually as well, and you can attend those, I'm sure. So once again, thank you very much, Ellen Wagner, or she would say in Germany, Wagner. Ellen, thank you so much for being a part of our group and presenting. And remember, Critic will be here next week to talk about being present, staying present, and growing presence for both live and virtual presentations. So hang out for the after party that we'll keep in just a couple of minutes. We'll keep the meeting going for anyone who wants to hang around online. And otherwise, I'll say stay safe and healthy for the next week. We'll look forward to seeing you virtually next week. Bye, everybody.